I am Chief Nicholas Blair, at your service, otherwise known as the Dollar Store Warlock. Tonight's episode of Collinsport After Dark features the 1968 pink Barnabas gum cards. Cue intro. Welcome to Collinsport After Dark. With me, Alan Gallant. And a whole host of things that go bump in the night. Good evening, dearies, and I bid you welcome to the Christopher Jennings Memorial back room here at the Collinsport Inn. Tonight, a little tutorial on the significance of the 1968 pink Barnabas, TV's Cool Ghoul, gum cards from the Philadelphia Chewing Gum Company of Havertown, Pennsylvania, and Don Mills, Ontario, Canada. Well, now we can get down to brass tacks. I have compiled over the years a pretty decent compendium and description of the various cards that exist within this 66 card set. So what I'm going to do today, ooh, there's a good one right there. What I'm going to do today is go through the vast majority of these cards and tell y'all what show they were photographed during, before, or after, the dates of those episodes, and a little extra material about how Philadelphia Gum Company managed to get interested in dark shadows in the first place. And that's what I'm going to start you with. Okay, there is a collector's magazine called The Wrapper. And back in the late 90s, number 166 was published. And in number 166 is the history of the Philadelphia Chewing Gum Company, which has since gone defunct. I think it was sold out to Amurol many years ago and then finally went defunct in the 90s. A few of their products still exist. I think you can still find Crybabies, super sour candies, and things like that, where they still use that branded sort of type of candy, but it's no longer produced by the company because it's defunct. Let me read you a passage from this article that was produced by the Wrapper magazine, number 166, in October, November of 1999. Later in the 1960s, the television show Dark Shadows was drawing a large viewing audience for their daytime program. Mr. Fenimore's daughter, now Mr. Fenimore was the owner of the Philly Gum Company. Mr. Fenimore's daughter, Cara, was a true fan of the show. She convinced her father to go to New York to meet the program officials. Of course, she probably wanted to meet Jonathan Frid and several of her heroes from the actual show, but Mr. Fenimore, I think, was more interested in the officials of the show, Dan Curtis, etc. Once there, Mr. Fenimore obtained a license, which was to become the Dark Shadows card set. This would be the first one. They would go back for several more series. At a later visit to New York, Carol returned with a girlfriend from school, and her father, Mr. Fenimore, brought a photographer with him who was to take pictures on the set for use in the proposed card set. I've actually figured out what episode that was. We'll get to that later. These pictures would be combined with stock photos, and there are a ton of those in this set as well. In this manner, material was gathered for Dark Shadows Series 1 and 2. as well as the poster and postcard series. Series 2 would be the green cards from 1969. The posters would be entitled Dark Shadows, Giant Pinups, and then the postcard series would be Quentin postcards. The lead character, Barnabas Collins, was out sick that day, dang it, which obviously disappointed the girls. As the day went on, everyone was busy with pictures, rehearsal, lunch breaks. The girls were free to explore production staff offices. In one such office, they found a phone card index. Looking through it, they found Barnabas's phone number and address. Not the first time or the last time this would happen, I'm sure. Impossible as you might think, they called the actor at home to ask how he was feeling and how they wished he would get well soon. The card set came out in 1968 and proved highly successful. It was followed soon after by another series. So the episode that I told you about, that in that little mini article from the Rapper publication back in '99, is 569. Episode 569 was taped on August 22nd, 1968, and was broadcast the following week on August 29th. So we're talking about, we're in the dog days of summer here, getting ready to go into September, and school's going to start. And they're going to take these photos along with a whole bunch of promo photos that was provided by Dan Curtis and ABC TV. And they're going to take these back to Havertown, Pennsylvania, or Philly, wherever their offices are, for their compositor to take them and create this design and take these pictures and make this card set, 66 cards. So now let's take a closer look at the entire card set and all the accoutrements that went with it. So, ladies and gentlemen, now that I'm thinking of it, a little reference back to episode 1. Remember I talked about the Ron Berry interview that took place after episode 554 on July 25th, 1968? Well, I found some photographic evidence of it here, although we don't have our favorite vampire, Tom Jennings, aka Don Briscoe in here. We've got several of the other members, plus some additions. We've got Humbert Astredo on Ron's left, and on Ron's right we have Grayson Hall. In behind we have Jonathan Frid, and if you notice, he's holding a copy, an advanced copy of Famous Monsters number 52 with his picture on the cover, his first cover. He had several other covers after that. Right next to him, to his left, is Bob Costello, the line producer for Dark Shadows at the time. And to the left of Bob, we have Roger Davis, who played Jeff Clark that day, of course. And then there's Ron Berry in the front. And then in behind Ron is our own Adam, Dark Shadows' own Robert Rodan, who was there for a read that evening. And then finally, to the far left of Ron and to our right is Humbert Astredo. Now let's move on to a more detailed analysis of our pink card set. Oh, sorry. Don't tell cheap Nicholas that I have his Famous Monsters 52. Doing a little research. Gimme. That's more like it. And now back to the presentation. The first series of Dark Shadows trading cards, measuring 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, was issued in 1968 at the height of Dark Shadows merchandising. The set consisted of 66 different black and white publicity stills from the show's storylines up until late August 1968. The set was issued in the fall of 1968, likely to coincide with the upcoming Halloween season. Now, some of these shots were taken on the actual set at ABC Studio 16, while others were taken as generic portrait shots against the backdrop of photographer's craft paper, probably a temporary setup located either on the set or, more probably, the rehearsal area. Now, in this series of 9 cards, the first 9 cards of the set, we can see examples of both of those. You see Barnabas holding his cane in the foyer, and we also see him against a neutral backdrop. These photos are discernible from the studio floor shots by the absence of any background scenery. All these shots were probably taken during dress rehearsal or after taping, when full makeup and costumes were readily available. Color shots of some of the portrait card photo sessions survive and can be seen in some of the Pomegranate Press reference books and series calendars produced by the Fest. And here we have an example of one of the gum cards. We see this is gum card number 65, showing Kathleen Lee Scott playing Maggie Evans. These shots were framed by a thin red or pink border, and the bottom edge of the border contained, from left to right, copyright 1968 Dan Curtis Productions Incorporated, copyright PCGC, all rights reserved, printed in the USA in black letters. In the lower right-hand corner of each wallet photo, as they were named at the time, was a facsimile autograph of the character depicted, with the handwriting presented in the same red color as the borders. The backs of the cards could be assembled to form a likeness of Barnabas Collins, reusing the image from card 1 of the set. This view featured the vampire's face framed by his cane, his fangs bared, and a small bat flying in the glow of a murky moon to the left. Instead of the standard black and white, this puzzle picture sported a sepia hue. A red autograph graced the lower left corner of the puzzle, the opposite of the right-cornered cards. In both of the Philadelphia gum card sets, the incidence of perfectly centered cards is relatively low, but they are especially hard to come by in this pink set. The cards were originally packaged in boxes of 24 packs, with each pack containing 5 random cards and 1 stick of bubblegum. The wrapper illustration featured a center panel the size of a card with a photo of Barnabas Collins holding his cane and baring his fangs. He faced to the left and was situated in the lower right-hand panel. Above this graphic, in red liquid letters, was the word Barnabas. Above that, in a solid field of what looks like dripping red blood, are white block letters which form the words TV's Cool Ghoul, by then one of ABC merchandising's preferred promotional taglines for the character. To the vampire's immediate right, a small, rather innocuous black bat flew above the red words wallet photos and bubblegum, followed below this, in simple black letters, as did the price, 5 cents. On either side of this centered panel were the borders, which were wrapped around the cards and used to display ads and manufacturer information on the backs of unopened packs. The right border contained ads for hot pepper gum, fly spoon, trick black soap, and onion gum. The left border strip announced that Philly Gum was located in Havertown, Pennsylvania, and reiterated Dan Curtis's copyright. The photo of Barnabas can also be found in mirror reverse on card 7. The card boxes bore similar graphics to the packs, with the same photo on the top of the display box to the right. The blood and bat motif were also present, with the phrase TV's Cool Ghoul again written across the bat in white letters. And below the bat, left center, was the Barnabas logo and brief description of the product, wallet photos and bubblegum 5 cents, far left. The white type words Star of Dark Shadows ABC TV were also present in a field of red to the right. Below this was a Dan Curtis copyright. The front side of the box was primarily black, with a red tone photo of Barnabas, pink card 1 again, mirror reverse, in the left half of the panel. To the right of this and above, the red phrase TV's Cool Ghoul was positioned. The center left to center area had the bloody red Barnabas logo in a wavy white box. Right and under the Barnabas logo are the words wallet photos in red, while far right is and bubblegum in white letters. Lowest and farther right is the 5 cent price, also in white. Retailers who ordered these boxes received bonus advertising material in each box in the form of an 11 by 36 Barnabas display poster, also showing the card 1 pose, with the words "We have it," along with a note on the poster back saying, "Mr. Retailer, kids love Barnabas. Put this poster on your window to create big sales quickly." These items are extremely rare, as they were unavailable to the general public. In addition to sales of packs in boxes, at some point, Philadelphia Chewing Gum Company decided to sell Barnabas cards in rack packs of 36 cards, with a cardboard header reminiscent of the wax box graphics. The header featured the blood graphic top and bottom, with a photo of Barnabas with fangs and cane in the lower right corner. Upper left, it stated TV's Cool Ghoul above a small black bat, which floated above Barnabas in blood letters. Below this, the phrase in black, wallet photos. Finally, in the upper right-hand corner, 36 wallet photos, 29 cents, is seen. And here we see the back panel of the rack card set, which features prominently the black bat with TV's Cool Ghoul written across it and the big bloody word Barnabas underneath. Okay. So that's a lot of minutia to take in. I understand. I'm well aware that my OCD research tendencies can sometimes get a little overwhelming, but hang in there. Hang in there. The best is yet to come. We're going to sectionalize this set and talk about the origins of a lot of the photography in it and try to match some of that up to some of the episodes and maybe show a few clips from those episodes as well. So hopefully that'll be a little bit more stimulating for you. Now, when we were kids back in the 60s, we never thought of any of this stuff. We never looked at those graphics and started tearing them apart. That was a function of, kind of later life getting interested in it. You'd go into your local mom and pop store and you'd be looking for bubble gum and candy and whatever that you had your quarter in your pocket or your dime in your pocket or whatever. And these, since they cost 5 cents, you could go right up and grab a couple packs of them and rip them open and chew that deliciously terrible cardboard-like pink slab of bubble gum. It was terrible stuff, by the way, but if you chewed it long enough, you could pretend it tasted good because the sort of cardboard taste would go away, that kind of thing. But after that was done, and you spit that out and hopefully into the local trash can, you could open up your cards, flip through them, and figure out which Barnabas card you had. And little boys like me, every once in a while we through, oh, it's a Maggie card, and whatever. I've since learned to be a little bit more egalitarian about my tastes. But when you're a kid, or at least I was like, Barnabas, show me Barnabas, that kind of thing. I actually didn't see a lot of these cards, and I don't even remember buying any personally, to be honest with you. But if I had, it would have been right to the schoolyard, right to the playground with the cards, and show them off and talk about the show itself and all of that sort of thing. Particularly since these cards came out near Halloween in 1968. I mean, the mood would have been just perfect for that. I think they stayed in stores probably for a year or so, and other card sets came out and overlapped with them. But that first blush or rush of fascination with the show for a lot of us happened in 1968. So, and it continues to this day. So what can I say? I guess all I can say is let's move forward and see some more graphics here, and hang in there, and let's connect some of these pictures, photographs, to the episodes from which they came. The inaugural set of Dark Shadows gum cards depict scenes from the 1967, 1795, and 1968 storylines, with emphasis on characters rather than story. The first 23 cards depict Jonathan Frid as Barnabas Collins, with the facsimile autograph Barnabas written in the lower right corner. These cards show Barnabas alone. The vampire's autograph is also emblazoned on cards 24 through 36, though many of these cards show the vampire with various heroines of the show. Card 24 shows old Barnabas with a terrified Carolyn, a scene from episode 350, taped on October 23, 1967, and aired October 27, 1967.
It's empty. Empty coffin. What does it mean? Miss Hoffman.
Carolyn, why are you here?
Oh, I was about to ask you the same question.
This is no time for questions. Just go now.
But this coffin, why is it here? What does it mean?
I can't tell you that now.
But it's here, just the way David described it. Why?
Just don't ask any questions. Just go now before it's too late.
It's already too late. What are you doing here, Carolyn?
I came to see Cousin Barnabas.
And now you see him.
But you can't be Barnabas.
But I am.
But what's happened to your face? You're so old.
It won't be old much longer. You may scream all you want, but no one will hear you. Now, don't be afraid of me, my dear. I'm not going to hurt you. I wouldn't do anything to hurt my own flesh and blood.
27 and 33 reveal Barnabas with Elizabeth Collins Stoddard. These are publicity stills from late June of 1967. Card 28 shows the foyer portrait. 30 and 31 depict Barnabas with Victoria Winters. And cards 29, 32, 34, 35, and 36 show the infamous mausoleum scene between Barnabas and Maggie Evans from episode 248, taped May 25th, 1967, aired June 7th, 1967.
You must come with me. You tried to leave me. You must be punished, Josette.
Please.
I dislike having to punish you, but you must come.
No.
Please. You must learn to never leave me. You must stay with me always.
Yes. Always.
You must never go. Just like long ago when you tried to leave me. You must never leave me again.
I want
What do you want?
to be with you.
Cards 30 and 31 depict Barnabas kissing Vicky's hand, and she is wearing a sleeveless plaid dress, apparently taken during the production of episode 465, taped April 3rd, 1968, aired April 9th, 1968. The plaid dress is not used in the episode and was presumably from Alexandra Moltke's own wardrobe, used for rehearsal. Cards 1 and 7 were taken from the 1967 ABC promo series in which Barnabas appears in front of a murky moon, which is red in the color versions, with a bat flying in front of it. Card number 1 is the same as the puzzle found on the card backs, and 7 is a mirror reverse of the photo on the wrapper and the box. These shots were most likely taken on June 29, 1967, before or after taping of episode 276. The 13th card, Barnabas on the Great Staircase, is from episode 331, taped September 21, 1967, aired October 2nd, 1967. 6, 12, and 18, showing old Barnabas, are from episode 350. Cards 3, 4, 10, 16, 23, and 25 are from a photo shoot done during episode 532/533, taped June 27, 1968, aired July 10th, 1968. Cards 2, 5, 8, 9, 11, 14, 15, 17, 19, 20, 21, 22, 26, 30, and 31 were also done on a single day. Most probably episode 465, taped April 1st, 1968, aired April 5th, 1968, in which Barnabas and Vicky are involved in an auto accident. This was Frid's last day as a vampire in modern-day 1968.
Peter.
Peter? Who is Peter?
Barnabas, what are you doing here?
I asked you who Peter is. Now look at me and tell me.
He's someone I met a long time ago.
Someone you cared for.
Yes.
Well, you must forget him now, Vicky.
That will be very hard to do.
You must try very hard.
I am trying.
You knew that I would come here tonight, didn't you?
Yes.
Are you ready to leave now? Vicky, do you hear me? Are you ready to leave?
No, there's something I must do first.
There is no time.
Then we shall have to make time. Or I'll never have peace if I don't know where I was during the seance, whether it was a terrible dream or if I really was in the past.
It makes no difference which it was. You are about to begin a new and very different life.
Don't you want me to be happy?
Of course.
I shall never be unless I know for sure.
The emphasis on cards 37 through 66 shifts from the famous vampire to the other characters of the show, particularly the women. Cards 37 through 39 show the 1795 Angelique, although she appears grossly aged in card number 39. The first two of these three were studio shots, probably taken around episode 400, which was taped on January 1st, 1968, airing on January 5th, 1968. The third card, 39, was probably taken by the studio art department as a prop template for the 1968 sequence in which Sam Evans ages Angelique's portrait around May 1968. Cards 40 through 42 show Julia Hoffman. Card 40 was probably taken on or around episode 462, taped March 27, 1968, aired April 2nd, 1968, which was the first show in which Julia had short hair. The frock she is wearing is green with yellow trim and can be found in other studio fan photos.
Why, Dr. Hoffman.
Well, good evening, Barnabas.
I almost didn't recognize you.
Oh, an impulse. I'm sure I'll regret it.
Well, I must tell you how much I like your hair. You seem to be, what is the phrase, changing your image completely. You are no longer here under false pretenses.
I merely substituted lies.
You could hardly very well tell the complete truth, could you?
Not without endangering you.
Thank you.
You're complimenting me, Barnabas. You must want something.
Your directness seems to make me more devious than I am, perhaps.
You want to know what Vicky has told me?
Well, are you willing to tell me?
No.
Then you will be placing Vicky in danger.
That is blackmail, Barnabas.
Why won't you tell me? Do you enjoy torturing me?
No.
You won't even let me see her.
I want to protect both of you.
Don't protect me, Doctor.
Someone must.
Very well, then I'll make a bargain with you. Help me, and I'll leave Vicky alone. You don't trust me.
I'd be a fool to.
The seance has changed me. You don't know the panic that I felt when I saw that girl in Vicky's chair. When I looked at her and realized that it was Phyllis Wick.
The shots on cards 41 and 42 were taken during dress rehearsal for episode 569, taped August 22, 1968, aired August 29, 1968, in which Julia stumbles into Collinwood, dazed after vampire Tom Jennings begins to summon her. This sequence continues with card 43, which shows a bewildered Roger Collins trying to deal with the entranced Julia. The card bears Roger's autograph.
Thank you, but there's nothing you can do.
Can I get you something? A cup of coffee, perhaps?
I think not, Mrs. Johnson. What I really need is a stiff drink. Will you join me, Nicholas?
All right.
Julia!
Dr. Hoffman.
What is the matter?
I couldn't find him.
Him?
Searched for him, but I couldn't find him.
Who are you talking about?
Tom.
Tom? The only Tom I know is Tom Jennings.
Yes. Tom Jennings. I couldn't find him.
But, Julia, Tom Jennings is dead.
No.
Nicholas, help me get her.
Let me take her.
In the drawing room. There on the sofa.
Cards 44 and 45 are existing stills of a slightly menacing Roger and his sister Elizabeth amidst cobwebs on the set for the Collinwood basement. A photo from this shoot was used for the July 30th, 1967 New York Times article on the show entitled Out in Detergent Land, A Hard Day's Fright. Here we see the famous New York Times article, one of several that appeared during the run of the show. The Collinsport Historical Society has an article on this article, the addy of which I will leave in the description. Card 44 bears Roger's signature, while 45 bears that of Elizabeth Stoddard. This shoot was conducted sometime during the taping of episodes 271 through 273, taped in order between June 23rd and 25th, 1967, aired between July 8th and 12th, 1967. It was during this shoot that one of the only Dark Shadows cast photographs was taken, with the cast assembled on the drawing room set. Cards 46 and 47 show Elizabeth in the woods, cemetery scene, from episode 569.
So many of them are buried here. So many of my ancestors. And this is where they will want to bury me. I wonder if any of them were buried alive. Buried alive. To wake up in a coffin.
The following 3 cards are taken from episode 248, with Maggie terrorized by the evil early Barnabas. In cards 48 and 49, Maggie is in the coffin in the mausoleum, while 50 shows her in Josette's room with a desperate Willie trying to calm her. John Carlin's only appearance on any of the gum cards is here.
Where?
This is where you will rest until I send for you.
That's right. You lie down, rest.
Rest.
Try to sleep if you can.
Dream. Sleep.
That's right.
I had a dream. Terrible dream.
You don't think about it.
He was standing over
Oh,
me.
don't.
And it was in a coffin. It was in a
Try
coffin.
to forget.
It wasn't a dream.
Don't.
I was in a coffin. I was in a coffin.
No. You listen to me. How can you hear me? I'm trying to help you. Don't you understand? Huh?
What is
I'm
it?
trying to help you. Listen to what I have to say. Running away was a mistake, a bad mistake.
I had to get away
Oh,
from
you can never get away from him. He'll never let you. And if you try to get away, he'll punish you again. And you don't want that, do you? He'll make it worse.
No.
Okay. Then do what he wants you to do. Be what he wants you to be. Yeah. You're Josette Collins.
No.
You have to believe that's who you are. It's the only way you'll be safe.
I'm not Josette Collins.
Don't let Barnabas hear you.
Card 51 and card 52 feature Nicholas Blair, but although they bear his signature, these cards also depict Mrs. Johnson in a scene from episode 569.
Hello, Mrs. Johnson.
Oh, Mr. Blair.
Is, Roger home?
No, he's driven up to Wincliffe.
Oh, to visit, Mrs. Stoddard.
Well, that's just it. She isn't there. She's disappeared.
Disappeared?
She disappeared from her room at Wincliffe during the night. The nurse came in the morning and found her bed empty. She's been missing for 24 hours. Heaven only knows where she is or what's happened to her.
I am very distressed to hear that. Is there anything that I can do?
There's nothing anyone can do except wait and hope that they find her and that she's all right.
Well, I certainly hope she is.
Oh, Mrs. Stoddard was behaving so strangely when they took her up to Wincliffe. She would talk of nothing but death, her own death. And sometimes she thought she was someone else.
Someone else? Who?
An ancestor of hers, a woman named Naomi Collins.
Naomi Collins.
Yes, it happened so suddenly. One day she was fine, and then the next...
Well, people do have mental breakdowns, unfortunately, and they can happen suddenly.
I don't believe that Mrs. Stoddard had a mental breakdown, or whatever you call it.
Well, then how else would you explain her strange behavior?
I believe that Mrs. Stoddard was under some kind of a spell.
Card 53 is of 1795's Abigail Collins, Clarice Blackburn's only solo card, taken against the tree where she was found dead by Daniel Collins. This was in episode 432, taped February 14th, 1968, aired February 20th, 1968. Another 1795 scene, Naomi Collins is seen with Nathan Forbes, Joel Crothers' only gum card appearance, on card 54. This was taken during the taping of episode 448, taped March 7th, 1968, and aired March 13th, 1968. This card bears her name. Adam comes next on 55 and 56 with shots taken in an offset photo shoot done on June 27th, 1968, episode 532/533. The signature is an amusing crayon-like scrawl. Cards 57 through 59 are solo portraits of Nicholas Blair. Card 57 originates from episode 569. The next two cards, cards 58 and 59, were shot off the set with the usual neutral backdrop. They were done before or after taping for episode 532/533. Card 60 shows David Collins in a location shot at Seaview Terrace in Newport, Rhode Island in May of 1966, done as part of a pre-production promotion. Cards 61 through 64 feature the show's early heroine, Victoria Winters. 61 is a 1966 exterior view at Seaview Terrace. Cards 62 and 63 were shot in 1968 on the foyer set during episode 465, while 64 is another 1966 promo shot. Maggie Evans is found on card 65, another episode 465 photo. Final card of the series, number 66, features Victoria Winters in the classic 1966 shot of her running in a trench coat, the mansion of Collinwood looming behind. The Philadelphia Chewing Gum Corporation relied heavily on previously shot publicity stills from ABC and Dan Curtis Productions for the first card series. However, according to the company president Edward Fenimore in an article by Jeff and Bob Marks, which appears in the Wrapper issue 166, a photographer was sent to gather material for this as well as all other Dark Shadows products issued by the company. Based on episode 569 having the highest frequency of cards from a single show rehearsal in 1968, and that would be 8, and that this show bears the latest tape date in the set, August 22nd, 1968, seems to be the best guess for the date of the Philadelphia gum shoot for this set. The cards for this shoot are 41 through 43, 46, 47, 51, 52, and 57. Cards are somewhat unique for their touch-ups, the practice of adding gray lines of definition to most of the shots, though the results are mixed, as you can see with 13, 19, and 27. Interestingly, all the off-studio photographs of Barnabas feature his ring on his left hand rather than the more usual right. Well, there you have it. There's the entire series. Hope you could stick with it. Hope you enjoyed it. And the few little clips in and amongst that might have illuminated some of those pictures for you from that 1968 pink Barnabas card set by Philadelphia Chewing Gum Company of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. And just to round us off, I thought we'd have a little bit of media and merchandise from the era in which this card set was also a part, which would have been the fall of 1968. And here's one from the summer of 1968, which would have been out by now, which is this TV guide from July 13th. And the reason that we have that is because it's got this lovely article of Jonathan Frid of Vampire for All Seasons. Highly recommend it. The picture is very cool, and the article itself is, well, it's fairly typical, but it's fun. Anyway, there's that. And Whitman started producing some cool stuff in 1968, including the Barnabas Collins mask and apron Halloween costume, which is incredibly rare now. You see that once in a while. Also, they had a set of magic slates out that year. And the first of two games, Milton Bradley would produce the second game in the following year of 1969. But in 1968, we had the Dark Shadows game, which was more or less of a board game as opposed to the second Barnabas Collins Dark Shadows game, which was a bit different. You built a skeleton. And let's see what else we have here. Okay, late in the year, in November of 1968, the very first Marilyn Ross novel featuring the actual character of Barnabas Collins. So there you have that. Pretty cool. Now, in terms of teen magazines, let me see what I got here. Okay, I've got this October 16 magazine from October of 1968. Had a cool little article in it. Dark Shadows meet us as we really are. And then, of course, Frenchie Blanche, who is the artist in residence there at 16 magazine, Frenchie's Freakies. And as you can see, it's got a cool bunch of stuff from characters of Dark Shadows featuring a Halloween motif there. Interestingly enough, 16 magazine is a New York, or was, I should say, was a New York-based teen magazine. So the editor-in-chief, Gloria Stavers, who was fairly famous at that time among teen magazine publishers and also among musicians and teen idols and so on that needed to get their faces out there, she had an office downtown. So she used to go out to the studio on West 53rd Street at 433 West 53rd Street, Studio 16, amazingly enough. And she used to go there with her camera, and she would, get them to give her a little bit of vital information. She would embellish some of it, not use some of it if it was too personal, and take pictures and put them in the magazine. And she did a ton of that. Dan Curtis was happy about that. The West Coast ones discovered in 1969, late 68 and early 69, some of the West Coast ones like Tiger Beat magazine also discovered Dark Shadows as a phenomenon at that time. It was kind of an odd phenomenon because they weren't young musicians, that kind of thing, which the magazines were full of, or young TV stars. They were, stage actors. Some of them were middle-aged and older, and they were on a spooky soap opera. Kids loved it, so they were in the magazine. And finally, not finally, actually, next to finally, 16 Spec, which stands for special, of course. And this is from the fall of 1968. And inside the pages, kind of a rotoscope over here. And then, of course, Jonathan Frid's mystery guest over here. And this actually was his mother that they were referring to. That's Flora Frid. And this photo shoot was taken from sometime in 1960. I'm not sure when it happened, but there was like an ABC mixer that happened, combination, getting to know you party that also had, since his mother was in town, she was kind of the guest of honor kind of thing. And this was held at the Drake Hotel back in 1968, probably the summer of 68, actually. Okay, so there's that. And finally, for today anyway, the Saturday Evening Post from December of 1968. As you can see, it had a huge spread and cover story on Rowan Martin's laughing, but inside, can a 172-year-old vampire find love and happiness in a typical New England town? It's a great one. And this was taken in upstate New York at a very lovely sort of castle resort up there, which is still there. And then there are two smaller pictures here from in the studio and with his secretary. That's Nancy Brown, later to become Nancy Brown Linehan. She was his personal secretary for several years during the run of the show and became a good friend of his, Jonathan Frid's. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have today, except I would like to give eternal thanks to all of you who have visited my first podcast, and I hope that you'll have a chance to visit this one as well. And also anybody that's given me a shout out in the comments, subscribe. Love to have you subscribe. It does a body good and a heart good to have some subscriptions there. And actually, that's the one. Yes, that's the one. So that would be wonderful, and I appreciate any of that you can do for me. Again, I'll have some of the key players in this particular podcast in the description. I think I want to. I'll probably repost the Ron Berry interview because I had a little section on that again. And some credit to some of the other folks, and I'll probably repost some of the other blogs or rather podcasts in the description as well as a service and a thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, and this is the end of podcast number 2 of Collinsport After Dark. Now, as you see, I'm comfortably ensconced here on a chilly night in the upper back room of the Collinsport Inn. I haven't heard any werewolves. What was that? Well, probably just my imagination anyway. So we'll see you again next time. Not sure what we're going to be doing yet, but I hope you enjoyed this one on the 1968 Philadelphia Gum Corporation Pink Barnabas bubblegum card set. Y'all have a good night and lock your doors. I'm hearing funny noises around here.